Is Louis Vuitton coming for YouTube videos? That is what we're going to be discussing. We have brought together a power panel today of people who actually believe that their YouTube videos about Louis Vuitton were possibly taken down by the company. Is this real? We're gonna delve into this. I'm Jen with the Sunshine Fashion Love channel, and with me is Lula West and Alyssa from the Gals Guide. And these two ladies have had videos removed, and they don't really know why. So we're going to be talking about that. All right, so first, before we get into things, let's have you both sort of introduce yourselves, who you are, and talk a little bit about your YouTube channels. All right, Lula, do you want to get us started off?
Sure. Hello. This is Lula West, and my YouTube channel is Lula West Lux. I've been on YouTube for 2 years now, and a lot of my videos, like the one that we will be talking about today, do focus on Louis Vuitton. It is one of my favorite luxury brands, and that's the one that I talk about most often. I do preview a lot of new releases and new collections at Louis Vuitton. However, I do also talk about tips and advice for smarter luxury shopping. A lot of times I will talk about certain bags, for example, that are better to buy pre-loved versus new. So those are the topics that I talk about on my channel. You can also find me on Instagram under the same handle, Lula West Deluxe. And that's a little bit about myself.
All right, and we're also excited to have Alyssa, who is also the inventor of a really cool new product called Handbag Heels. And Alyssa was also hit on one of our Louis Vuitton videos, and she doesn't really know why. Alyssa, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, so my name's Alyssa. I have a blog called The Gals Guide, which kind of started my love for coming out here on social media. And I have a YouTube channel called The Gals Guide Blog is the handle, and a Gals Guide shop, which is my website where I sell handbag heels. So I really just love all things handbags. I've been doing YouTube since 2020, and I come on here and I review my luxury and contemporary handbags. And I also try to do like outfits, different things to keep it fun and fresh. And I do love Louis Vuitton. It is one of my favorite brands. And I do have a story behind what happened. Unfortunately, I'm just looking to kind of understand what's going on and share the word like with everyone that is a consumer about what's happening from kind of a creator perspective. But I really love the YouTube community. I love talking about handbags and all different kinds of things. So that's me.
All right, so let's be real. There are probably thousands of YouTube videos about Louis Vuitton products and about the brand. Obviously, it's a global brand, and it's very popular. So a lot of people do talk about it within the handbag and the luxury communities. And recently, both of you had something pretty strange happen with some of your YouTube videos. So Lula, what happened with your situation, and kind of explain which video was affected?
Sure. So I had uploaded a video it was about 4 to 6 weeks before it was taken down. I probably should have looked that information up before we came on our call today, but the video was up for at least 1 month before it was taken down. And it was a video on a few improvements that Louis Vuitton had recently made to their handbags. If you are a Louis Vuitton lover, you are probably familiar with their classic canvas styles, the Neverfull, the Speedy, the Noe, and the Alma. So those were the bags that I had talked about in that video. And Louis Vuitton had recently made a few small changes and updates to those bags. For example, on the Noe bucket bag, they added feet. On the Alma top handle bag, they added an adjustable strap. Before, the strap was not adjustable. So little changes like that Louis Vuitton had made to their bags. It was a very positive video, really recognizing these changes that Louis Vuitton had listened to customer feedback and made really great improvements to their bags recently. So that was what the video was reviewing. Towards the end of the video, I did touch on a couple new releases that I was actually recommending to viewers. So again, it was all very positive, and the comments on that video were very positive as well. A lot of viewers were very interested and really happy to hear about these changes to the bags. And It was also my most viewed video at the time when it was taken down. Excuse me. I'm a small channel. Right now, I currently have about 10,500 subscribers. And the views on that video were around 68,000 when the video was taken down. So it had been my most viewed video. It was my most liked video. And it had a very large number of comments on that video as well. So it was performing very good. And I do think that is part of the reason perhaps why it was targeted and removed, just because it had been gaining some traction online. I wouldn't say it had gone viral by any means, but it was performing very well for my size channel. And out of the blue, it was about a month after I had uploaded the video, on July 2nd, actually, I got an email saying I had a YouTube counterfeit violation and my content was removed. So this was sent to my personal email address that is affiliated with my YouTube channel. And at first, it really caught me off guard because I also received the email very late at night. It came into my email at 9:44 p.m. and I saw the notification pop up on my phone. It took me a minute to really read it and understand what they were talking about. Unfortunately, in the email, they did not give a lot of information. So the first thing I did was to go onto my computer and log on to the YouTube Studio website to try to see if I could find more information about why the video was removed. And unfortunately, they don't give creators a lot of information. All I knew was that there was a counterfeit violation. It was a legal complaint that had been received. I had no idea exactly what the complaint was alleging. I did not know what part of my video this complaint alleged was a counterfeit violation. I did not show any counterfeit or even talk about any counterfeit items in the video. And I didn't know where this complaint originated from, who had filed it. I really had no information to go on whatsoever.
Yeah, that's just super weird. And it's interesting because we've seen several creators run into this, Alyssa, you included, and it seems like one thing that the videos do have in common is that the videos are performing fairly well. So Alyssa, tell us about what happened with your Louis Vuitton video.
Yeah, so it's really funny because I received pretty much the exact same email on the exact same day that Lula got hers. And I read it immediately. So I'll give you the background, right? So I posted a video on this beautiful pochette Matisse here. And I had unboxed this already on my channel, and then I did a full review on it. I love the bag. It's beautiful. I bought it from The Real. And I had said that in this video, I believe. And I just kind of gave an overview of all the things that I like about it. I talked nothing but positive things about the bag and just gave an overview of all the details as I typically do. And I have a bunch of reviews of so many different Louis Vuitton bags. I have a whole playlist of Louis Vuitton bags. And for some reason, this one was specifically targeted. I don't know how many views I had because they removed the video, so I couldn't see how many views. I want to say I had at least 5,000 views, which is pretty good in my opinion. I have about 9,000 subscribers, a little bit over that. So I'm also a small channel. And so I just love and appreciate any view, any like, any comment, right? And it takes a lot of time to do these reviews. So it was definitely frustrating at first, but this is the bag. I got it from The Real. I have no reason to believe that it is not authentic. And I did talk about how I had used an app to find the microchip in this bag, which was kind of cool. And I'd never talked about that before. So in my mind, I thought, maybe that made somebody upset that you're able to do that. I'm not sure. But I had just a very basic review on this bag. And on the 2nd of July, I got an email that said, your video's been removed due to a counterfeit claim that we received. If you disagree with this, you can basically submit like a rebuttal saying like, this is not a counterfeit, right? So that's exactly what I did. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, this has to be a mistake. Like, there's nothing wrong with this video. I've never openly like talked about a counterfeit bag, or, you know, there's all of those YouTubers or content creators that make bag videos on different bags that they get from unauthentic places, and they'll say, I'm reviewing this bag which was sent to me by X brand. It's not actually, LV or whatever. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe this was just a mistake. Maybe this was just like a hashtag thing. Some applications are really sensitive with their AI towards hashtags if you're using a brand in the hashtags. So I thought maybe it was just a mistake, and I just like refuted it right that moment. I typed up, this is a fully authentic bag. I have proof of purchase. I kind of just wrote out the reasons why it was completely authentic. And by 3:00 in the morning, I believe it was, I got the follow-up email saying that my message was kind of discredited. They didn't say it like that. I can't remember the exact words. I'm sure I can pull up the email, but it was just saying your video's been removed. We've denied your kind of rebuttal of like wanting to put this video back up on YouTube. It will be taken down. And it just gives you a link to look at to say, why was my video taken down? So I emailed them back twice. I never heard back. I ended up chatting with a YouTube like customer service person, and they told me they could not give me any information, that there was a totally separate team for claims. I'm assuming those are the attorneys that you don't have a phone number for. And so through that conversation, I got this link of how I would submit a claim on my behalf or against another video. And when I looked through that, you actually have to have proof that you own the trademark, that there's a reason that you're saying your trademark is being misrepresented or counterfeit. So my understanding from that was that the brand was the one that submitted this, because you have to be able to put in your EIN, all the information as to the business that you are representing. So I thought that that was interesting. And to me, I think, for small YouTubers, I just don't understand where this is coming from, because we're over here spreading really positive stuff about these beautiful bags and want to continue to do so. And it is free advertising. So that is my viewpoint.
Yeah, this is super crazy. And something you did point out is that like you do have to prove that you are the, so it seems like it wouldn't be super likely that someone would be able to make a false report if you have to provide your tax ID number. Although coincidentally, a couple days ago, somebody got a copyright strike on one of their videos, and it was someone pretending to be another YouTuber. But so YouTube somehow let that fly. So they were pretending to be this YouTuber named like Sniper Wolf or whatever. And so this other creator was like, oh, Sniper Wolf claimed my video or like had it taken down. And to be fair, this person does seem like they might do something like that, but it turned out that it was actually not her. And somehow somebody was able to impersonate enough to get through YouTube's reporting system, and they were able to like strike a video. It was pretty strange, but it does show that there are vulnerabilities and clearly there are some flaws in the YouTube reporting system. They have the DMCA, but filing a legal complaint would actually have to be kind of separate. So it's not like it's super, it's not like the typical like, hey, report video thing. You do have to go through a little bit more to do that. So that does seem like, Alyssa, what you found out, it does seem more likely that it would have been either from the brand directly or from some third party that was acting on their behalf, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. That's really scary, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they would be able
And
to
that
do
was
that.
that was also the thing that struck me, is that it wasn't a copyright violation. It wasn't a community guideline strike. Yeah. It was specifically a counterfeit violation. It was through their legal department. And the same thing as you, Alyssa, I went through and I looked at that form, and the way you have to fill it out, I found it very unlikely. And again, we have no information on who submitted this form and exactly what their complaint alleges. That information is not shared with us. So we really have no idea. But I thought it, like you said, it was very interesting that it was specifically a counterfeit violation through their legal department. And the fact that this happened to not only you and I the same exact day, but there's other YouTubers in the luxury niche who have also talked about this recently. So I thought it was very unlikely that there's some bad actor out there, what would be their reasoning? What would be their motivation for this? And why would they specifically target all various creators at the same time? So I think that's a mystery that really, I don't know if we'll ever get the answer to who this is, what the motivation is, and why exactly a counterfeit claim. Like you said, we did not show counterfeit bags. Our videos weren't even remotely on that topic. And there are a lot of videos that do touch on counterfeit and replica bags. There are a lot of people, a lot of videos I've seen show up in my suggestions where people are comparing those two videos, and I could certainly see a claim in that area. But it's really a mystery to me. I really have no idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what's interesting too is deeming it as counterfeit. It almost seems like it could be a lot of different things, of like misrepresenting the logo. I don't know if it's that there was, because there's LV, on the bag, or if it's a box or something where they're saying something in this video is being misrepresented based on me being the trademark owner of that logo, of that name, of that brand name, what have you. So I thought that that had to be something, because all of our videos seem to be so different based on what everyone posted too, that my guess, this is just my perspective, my opinion, is that there may very well be some sort of legal claim going on across the board, maybe across multiple platforms with this particular brand, in which they were able to kind of say anything under these requirements needs to be removed. I don't know what those requirements are, but it's just interesting that all of them were taken down at the same time. I would be even more interested to see if those replica videos do start coming down, if there is going to be something around that. I'll tell you, I will get those on my For You page and things, and sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, this is a Louis Vuitton bag, and I don't even realize that it's a replica until I start looking through the page. So I would love to see what happens and how things change, but it definitely is interesting to unpack, to compare the different stories.
And this feels a little bit like deja vu, because this type of thing happened several months ago with Instagram and a lot of these designer brands. But it's weird that they're going at it from a copyright or a counterfeit angle, when I feel like the trademark one would make more sense, even though I still think that's ridiculous. But the counterfeit argument as a legal claim, to me, doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the wrong way to come at it if you're a brand trying to enforce your IP. And they did go after that guy. There was a guy kind of recently, he makes YouTube videos of himself. He's like a leather worker, and he upcycles like Louis Vuitton and designer canvas into wallets and sells them. And he did a video called Louis Vuitton sent a private investigator to my house, and they were accusing him of counterfeit as well, because they were saying the canvas was counterfeit. And he's like, no, it's actually authentic. But it's interesting that in his situation, they were also going at him from a counterfeit angle, when in my opinion, legally, it would make more sense to try to enforce that through trademark protection. But hey, I don't know. So it is kind of strange that they went after a bunch of Instagrammers a few months ago for the trademark thing. And if you notice too, once a lot of us started talking about it and making videos about the topic, did you notice it kind of died down, and not as many, I haven't had any of my content affected in months. So I don't know. What do you got? Not to get our tinfoil hats on, but I feel like there's something I just feel like there's something going on.
I do think so. And I have heard, and this has not been confirmed, but I have heard through sources that there are people that work for the brand who are hired to monitor social media. And of course, that makes perfect sense to me. I've worked for companies that monitor what's being said about them in the public. I think that's a pretty safe assumption to make. So I do think there are eyes on all of this content at the company. I do think they monitor closely, especially with a luxury brand where brand image is of utmost importance. So it doesn't surprise me that there's people monitoring what's going on, and when a lot of noise is being made about this, that maybe a different strategy was adopted. Maybe they decided to go about their approach in a different way. And I have noticed in the last 2 years that I've been on Instagram as a creator through Lula Westlocks, there have been definite waves where a lot of content, both posts and accounts are removed, and then it gets quiet, and then it picks up again. So I have noticed that it sort of ebbs and flows. The last one that you were referring to a few months ago, Jen, was by far the worst, where so many people were affected. And like you said, it's slowed down a lot recently. I don't know if it'll pick up again soon. I feel like that's been the trend that we've seen in the past. There's really no way to anticipate it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I have the same thing on Instagram. So my Instagram's the Gals Guide blog. It's the same handle pretty much for YouTube, but I had noticed, because I have a very small Instagram. I don't have a huge following, but I'm grateful for the 1,800 followers that I have, which is great. I will hashtag a lot just to get my posts out there. And I noticed when I would put a lot of hashtags, if I hashtagged a brand name, my post would be taken down. Lately, it's been totally fine. I haven't had that issue. The reason you use hashtags is for that For You page to show people who like similar brands, similar things. And it's not like I'm selling anything with the brand hashtag, but it's more of, this is a Louis Vuitton bag, or this is a Gucci bag, or whatever, and then hashtagging it. And I haven't had anything taken down in a very long time. I don't know if it was just something with the AI that was in place with Instagram where they were checking those hashtags more. It's an interesting thing that happens when you post something and it's like, oh, my post was removed, and then you have no idea why. It doesn't really even tell you. But my other thing is, I think that there was something going on with lawsuits happening. I want to say there was Hermes, and then there was potentially Chanel, I believe it was, and there were some pre-loved stores that were involved in these lawsuits that the brands were saying, you can't guarantee that it's authentic because we ourselves didn't authenticate it. And I don't know if that's their angle with these social media things of like, you can't represent our brand without it coming from us. I don't know if that's their viewpoint, but I really hope that it's not, because that would be really unfortunate if that is the way they're going. But I just think there's so many things and there's so many different angles that you just don't know why they're doing, like what was misrepresented so poorly that has brought the industries to this decision.
Yeah, it is kind of strange, and I think weird optics for such a prestigious brand, in my opinion, to try to control and police how people talk about the brand. I mean, to a certain extent, I can understand wanting to maintain your brand image, but to go so far as to like take down Instagram posts, take down YouTube content of people, and again, all of our channels, none of us hate, none of us are haters of the brand. That being said, though, I don't think there's anything wrong with people being honest about their experiences with the brand as well. So if there's something like, one of the videos that was removed was what I don't like about my LV bags. And is this creator not allowed to talk about that? Like, what's up with, I don't know, it just seems very, a little too controlling, and like that's kind of unreasonable for a brand to have that sort of expectation of control.
Yeah. And, there's one other point that I want to touch on that we haven't talked about yet in terms of control. One thing that I have noticed, unfortunately, even though I personally don't talk about anything counterfeit or related to counterfeit on my channel, it's not that I have anything against talking about that topic. It's just not a topic that I talk about on my channel. But there are outside influences that impact my channel beyond my control. For example, and this goes with both YouTube and Instagram. I will give examples for both. On YouTube, it's comments. We get a lot of comments from bots that are representing in my opinion, representing these counterfeit sellers. So they will leave comments on our YouTube videos promoting their counterfeit brand, and they will leave the name of it. I go through all the time. I delete those comments. I don't want them on my videos. I've also changed my settings. So from now on, every comment on my videos is held for review. So those counterfeit bot comments don't show up at all, and I never approve them. On Instagram, I think it's a similar tactic where they don't necessarily leave comments, but a lot of these counterfeit brands have Instagram accounts, and they will go and follow our legitimate accounts. They will also steal photographs from legitimate creator accounts and use those authentic photographs to then illegally promote their counterfeit goods without the consent of the creator. So there's a lot of brands that are going and impacting our work, that we are doing everything above board, but then these other bad actors are coming in, either stealing our content, following our accounts, which does negatively impact our accounts, and also leaving comments. And of course, there's not people monitoring all of these individual interactions. There are AI mechanisms in place that then our accounts are getting flagged, and that's also getting our content removed. So it's really difficult as creators when we try to do everything by the book. We have authentic products. We're very careful with how we use hashtags, how we talk about these things. But then all of these bots come in, and this negative traffic, even though we're not asking for this traffic, it is coming to us without asking for it. It's then flagging our accounts. So
Yep.
I think that's something else now that we need to strategize around as creators to protect ourselves.
I completely agree. I get 25 of them every morning. And what's so interesting is they've started tailoring their comments to be in alignment with the video. So I recently posted a video about this change in luxury, what's happened, and this story. And I got a comment this morning on that video that was like, everybody has their own preference on luxury versus contemporary XYZ. And then it went into like the brand name of what the bag that they're trying to sell, the replica bags. And it's so crazy because I read every single comment and I want to respond to everyone. So it gets me in the beginning with like, I think it's a person that's talking to me about the bags or whatever I'm talking about. So I report them all every single morning. I sit there and go through, because I've also had other subscribers that have said, hey, are these bags authentic? And I'm like, yes, they are. And she responded with, oh, well, there's all these comments about unauthentic bags. So I had to say, let's level set. I ended up putting something in my community like, hey, these are spammers. But sometimes people just don't know. If you're not in that community, you don't totally see that every day. You don't experience that or know what to look for. So I know that there's another creator that recently shared this, and I think that that certainly helped. That video got a lot of views, which is great. And then on Instagram, I get so many like sellers where they're trying to sell me fake bags. I haven't had an issue with anything with my content, thank goodness, but it is really frustrating to see that there are people who are not doing things with integrity or doing things with, you know, authentic products, and then we are the ones that are getting hit with these things.
Yeah. And
exactly.
I have to ask both of you, is it frustrating to have videos taken down for a legal complaint, but not be given specific information as to why? Like,
yes.
that's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Yes. Honestly, I think I was optimistic. Oh, it's just going to come back. My rebuttal will be perfectly clear and my video will be back up in no time. No problem. This is just a mistake. And the fact that that did not happen and I did not get clear information on what to do, what not to do, for me, I just never want to be in a position where the time and effort and energy that I put into a video is removed again. I want to know what was wrong with that video. What can I never do again? What are the hashtags? What can I take off? Was there something that I did wrong as a creator that's allowing you to remove my content? So I think that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm going to be more skeptical about the content that I do produce. And from my perspective, I think I want to promote brands that want that sort of thing. And I love the bags. I'm always going to be a supporter of the creative side of luxury, of the creative, beautiful pieces that are being made, but it's difficult to want to then represent a brand or come up with content without knowing what you should or should not say or do.
Yeah, that's a good point. You could make another LV video this weekend and they could, imagine putting all that work into a video and then that one getting taken down too. So it's almost like it's like the not knowing and not having answers that makes it really frustrating. And, I can see how that might put you off to wanting to make content about brands who do that. I don't know. What do you think about that, Lula?
I totally agree. And it's not just the time and effort that we put into it, but like you said, Alyssa, when we're not being told what exactly we did that was right or that was right or wrong, not only does it make fighting and appealing that decision harder, but then in the future, we will, we want to keep making this content, and YouTube wants creators to keep making content. But it's hard when we don't know, okay, well, you say I did something wrong, but you're not going to tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it in the future. It really doesn't make any sense when you think about it. But I do want to just make one note about the appeal that I had filed, because I don't think I said this earlier, but I actually took a few days to file my appeal. The great thing for me was that I got the initial email that this happened so late at night that I couldn't really exactly even comprehend what was happening at first. And even when I logged into my YouTube Studio app, I couldn't find anything. So I didn't do anything right away. And I did actually reach out to you, Jen, very early on. That was one of the first things I did to let you know that this had happened to me. And I figured you would know something, right? You would know what next steps to take. And you were the first person who said to me, really think about what you're going to say in your appeal. Go back to your video, watch it critically. What is the thing that could have set this off? So I did take a few days to think about it. I submitted my appeal on July 5th. So it was about 2.5, 3 days after the initial complaint. That was over a week ago. I've still not heard back yet. So I have no idea what's going on with my appeal. I did get a confirmation, so I know that it was received, but I've heard nothing about it. And that was the one tip I had gotten from you, Jen. And I had researched this a little bit more from other creators who have had either videos or their entire channels terminated. Even with a channel termination, if they completely take your channel down, even then it sounds like those creators still aren't even told exactly why. And that's for an entire channel. But when writing your appeal, touch on a few different points. So for me, similar with Alyssa, I had mentioned that the items I shown were authentic. They were purchased directly from the retailer. And I even gave my order numbers, which I knew would be useless to anyone reading this at YouTube. But I figured if the complaint was coming from Louis Vuitton, then to have actual order numbers where they could pull up and verify my purchases, I thought maybe that might help if somehow the appeal went to the person who filed the initial complaint. So I did touch on the fact that the pieces I showed in the video were authentic. The other piece I touched on was that I do not sell items. I do not promote the sale of items, and I do not have any links in my video. And for that video in particular, I had no links to external sites. So I did go back and I reread the YouTube guidelines and the terms of service. I did some Google searching for YouTube counterfeit policies as well. And that was one thing that stood out to me was if you're trying to sell an item, I don't think any of the videos of creators I talked to were doing that, but that was also one other thing I clarified in my appeal. So I think because we have no information, casting a wide net and touching on a few different points, just kind of shooting arrows in the dark. And, hopefully I'll get something. That was the reason why my video was taken down. So that was just one piece of advice that hopefully maybe might get my appeal approved.
Fingers crossed here. And I think one thing this does highlight is how lacking YouTube creator support really is if you have an issue. It's all hearts and rainbows when we're getting the views and getting the money, but it seems notoriously difficult to get the attention of anyone at YouTube. The only thing I've heard that people can do is there is @TeamYouTube. It's like a Twitter X account. And that's really the only way you have to try to hit them up. And even then, you just get these like generic canned responses. So it seems like from all the people I see trying to make that attempt, very few of those are successful. And the ones that are, you have to have a huge following already and get a bunch of people to retweet your issue. And then it seems like they're, oh, okay, this, Mr. Beast had a problem, we'll help him. But Alyssa and Lula, who have, 10,000 subscribers, whatever. So that's kind of the vibe. I do think that's very discouraging for smaller channels. And again, I have smaller channels as well. Nobody at YouTube I know I ain't getting help from YouTube, but it is pretty frustrating when, if you're going up against a large corporation like LVMH, who's hitting up YouTube, they're obviously going to get more personal service than like the regular creator.
And it's disheartening because, like we said earlier, these are all videos that were performing so well for our channel. These were things that we did right according to YouTube. Like with our content, grabbing the audience, making this interesting. Evergreen content, like with Alyssa, a review on a bag that people are going to go back and watch, not only right now, but in years from now, probably, new customers that are thinking of buying that bag. And it is just so disheartening to finally think, yes, I did it. I got it right. I followed all these tips and tricks that YouTube, creators and coaches are trying to tell us and what we're supposed to do. And then the video gets taken down. And YouTube doesn't tell us why.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to an attorney about this a few days ago about kind of an unrelated matter, but we were talking about filing legal complaints, and he had a good point. He's like, you know what? Because I was like, well, if it was kind of a bogus legal complaint, wouldn't YouTube just, tell them to pound sand? But he's like, why would they? It's in their best interest to do the thing that's the least hassle for them. So I can see why YouTube would more err on the side of the person making the legal complaint and not really push back. We've seen that with a lot of copyright claims. We've seen that with other issues. And the other thing I was thinking about too, again, a little, maybe a little too down the rabbit hole, but if LVMH, the parent company, does any sort of advertising on Google or YouTube, they're giving the company money. Why would YouTube / Google, not act as the muscle for them if they're doing any sort of advertising?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
It's just disheartening overall, and to be worried about posting videos for a brand that you do own so many handbags, that you want to share your love and passion for them. It is a little bit tough to feel that way. So I do hope that this comes to an end. Honestly, I hope that maybe this was just one legal complaint or lawsuit or whatever, and everything was packaged together and they got rid of the videos that they felt they didn't want out there for some reason. And I hope that this is the end of it. I'm just not sure what to really do or what to expect moving forward. So hopefully we get some responses from people in the community that have had this happen to them, or maybe someone, if you're watching this, that got a little bit more answers. We would love to hear from you. If you could leave that in the comments down below, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, it's a good thing to bring up. Yeah, if you've had an experience that you want to share, or if maybe you have, someone at LVMH or at Google or YouTube, let us know, because a lot of us don't really have any answers. And yeah, that's all we want is answers. And it's just strange to me because I think the optics of this from a PR standpoint are pretty bad. And they keep doing this on different platforms. I've had content removed on TikTok for an alleged trademark infringement. And I'm like, what's this? But the fact that we're apparently not allowed to comment on these products, comment on the brand, and if they don't like it, they just get your content removed. It does come across as a little bit, I don't know, like a little, I don't even know how I would describe it, but it just seems like not ungrateful, but at the same time, a lot of us have purchased things from the brand. We've spent money with this brand, and to have them do this to content creators seems kind of like a slap in the face to a company that we've all given money to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because they weren't anything negative. I've certainly seen a lot of negative videos on just luxury brands in general regarding quality. There's a big scandal with Dior and how much Dior and Armani as well, with how much they're paying to have their goods made. There was a probe in Italy. That's been really big news in this niche recently. And it's interesting that these videos that are very unproblematic, like a handbag review or reviewing positive new changes that have been made to a bag, would be targeted for removal, whereas there's a lot of more serious issues that people are talking about. And there's a few videos that I've watched, and I will go back in my watch history, and I still see those videos are there. They've not been taken down. So it really is mind-boggling to me, and makes it so much more frustrating that nobody will say why this is happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've seen so many videos that go viral that are like how these luxury brands are keeping you poor, or like why luxury brands are not worth the money. And they have millions of views, and nobody seems to be filing legal complaints against them. I know. So that is a little weird that they're going after like Pochette Batiste reviews or like new changes at Louis Vuitton. I don't know. Like, it's weird that the brand would be so against that type of content. I don't know. Like, that just strikes me as odd. Most brands would love for more content to be produced about the products. So it is strange that a lot of these luxury brands don't want people posting on social media.
Right.
Yep. I wish I had an answer.
I know, right? So that's why we're talking about this, because we don't have answers. And, this keeps happening to people. And it is strange because it's like they're going from platform to platform to platform. And what's going to happen with that, and knowing that a brand can just have your video taken down by having a lawyer contact them is kind of unnerving too.
Yeah, it just makes it less fun. And I think of the people who are just on Instagram sharing their new purchases, or people who are getting their first bags and they're sharing those, and to have those taken down is really disheartening. I've seen that happen to a few people on Instagram where they have these beautiful bags that they just purchased and they're taken down. And I just don't understand why a brand would do that. Of course, this is just from our perspective. We don't know for sure their reasoning, which is the whole point of this discussion, but hopefully we see some changes. Hopefully there are protocols that these platforms can put in place on determining what's counterfeit, what's not counterfeit. And social media is just meant to be fun and entertaining. So for people to come and watch reviews, it's also very helpful for them to make a distinction on, do I want that bag? Do I want a different bag? And that's the reason why I do it. I love to be able to help other people make that decision, because that's what I do all day long. If I want a bag, I go right to YouTube. I look to see who has it, what do they like about it, what do they not like about it, how comfortable is it, all of those things that would be a shame for people or brands really, to be able to put those constraints around what you can share from your creative viewpoint.
No, that's really true. And, all of this is so strange to me. And they've got to be using some sort of like AI tool that scrapes the internet or scrapes various websites like YouTube. I don't know if it's maybe them just like tweaking a few settings to make it like less aggressive. And we've also seen the same sort of thing on Etsy. Etsy has a lot of false positives with flagging listings with where they should be okay, but somehow it gets picked up and your listing gets removed. So it seems like a lot of these companies and like, you know, YouTube, a lot of these platforms are using AI to pick out content that they think is problematic, and it's clearly not always right. So that does, again, that also highlights issues with when you don't have real people, you're using robots for everything, and you don't even get a human to like Alyssa with your appeal. I doubt a human actually looked at it because you said it happened so quickly, and you're like, well.
Yep. And I do wish I would have spent a little bit more time on it. I just immediately was like, no, absolutely not. This is not counterfeit. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say it like that. It was more professionally done. But I wish I would have touched on all of those things. And what was even more frustrating was I couldn't even view my video through YouTube. I watched it on my computer. Thank goodness I had it saved. And I couldn't see what I had in the description box, like what hashtags were on the video or anything like that, because it was completely removed even for me to see it. So I just kind of went in full force, like, please put my video back on. Pretty much. I didn't say it like that, but I don't understand why this would be removed. There's nothing counterfeit about this video. And getting a response at 3 a.m. was a little strange. I don't even know where this person would have been. I'm on Eastern time. So, I mean, I guess they could have been somewhere else, but it just was very unorganized is kind of the way that I would put it. I don't think that there's really much anybody can do about it. I'm assuming, which is why I'm assuming it's like there's something legal happening. There was some sort of settlement. It is what it is. It's out of our hands, which is tough.
Well, what would both of you like to see YouTube do? Again, moving forward, if they could improve the experience for you as creators, what would you like to see happen with YouTube?
Yeah. I would just like more transparency. I think more transparency would go a very long way. I do understand a little bit that they don't have the manpower because there are so many creators out there, so many videos, so much content. Yeah, I do understand that they might not be able to have a person review or talk to every single person or every single case. But in that instance, because of that, I think they do need more transparency and more transparency to their creators. If I can't get in touch with a person at your company, I expect you to give me more information to self-serve, right? If you're going to tell me that a video is taken down, I understand that what's the word? People that file the complaints do have the right to remain anonymous. But if that's the case, I need to know at least a general outline of why my video was taken down. What is a specific guideline that I violated or a specific terms of service that I violated so I can then go and dispute it? When there's zero transparency and then not even a person that we can talk to, what are we supposed to do? Right. So I would like to see more transparency from YouTube to their creators when something like this happens so we can try to figure it out and at least try to self-serve to file an appeal.
I completely agree. I would just even take one additional sentence. Like when I got this email, it was one sentence pretty much that said, your video's been removed due to a counterfeit legal claim. Here's where you appeal it. Here's the resource. I would just love it to have said, the bag in your video is deemed to be counterfeit, or the links that you use, something that says why the specific video was taken down, where it gives you a little bit more context. I understand, you know, all of the legal restrictions and things of that nature. However, there should be some sort of piece of information that is specific to your video. So, or if it falls under a large category, I understand that they're saying it's counterfeit, but all of our videos that were taken down are of authentic bags. So what exactly is counterfeit? And like, what is the claim that's being made? I think that that would be much more appreciated on my end. And I think when I spoke with the customer service over chat, I could tell it was a person and he was trying to do everything that he could, but the reality is he could see what was happening because he very clearly said, I cannot speak of that. Like, I can't move any forward anymore. I can't talk about this anymore further with you because there's a team that handles this. So I think transparency is the best way, Lula. I think that's the best thing that for all of us would just be great to understand. And I think I would just like to have clearer guidelines on what should or shouldn't be done up front, like something within their policy. Like, I understand you're not supposed to sell counterfeit goods, like all of those things. I think that those are very clear no's, but for our situations, I think it would be nice to know what is the marketing or something within it that we should avoid, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, Lula, as you were saying about how they could kind of remain anonymous, if you file a DMCA takedown on a video, you actually can't be anonymous. The person who gets the claim gets your address, they get your phone number, they get your email address. So it's interesting that the legal complaints can be sort of under this guise of mystery, but if you file a DMCA takedown, that's actually one of the reasons why creators are reluctant to do it to other creators, because they don't want that other person to get their personal information. So some creators will use like an LLC or try to use some other tool for, other ways to be more anonymous. But if you do file a DMCA report, the other person gets all of your information. So it's kind of interesting that you don't with the legal complaint and how different they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty straight. Yeah, this all is very bizarre. And the fact that none of you were actually using counterfeit items in the videos. And what's also strange too is that guy with the viral video, he actually was upcycling a product, and that could actually be a trademark violation for the brand, and his video is still up. So it's interesting that people who are doing things that might be more problematic to the brands, their videos are fine, but videos that don't really seem to break any of the rules are taken down.
Right.
Exactly. And the size of the creators, the size of our channels, and the views that we were getting are very good for ourselves. Like I said, for my video, it was the most viewed video I had on my channel so far, but I would not consider it viral by any stretch of the imagination. So even just picking what the videos are, like even the creators, the smaller channels, the really niche channels, I really want to know what it was that flagged those videos.
Yeah. Should we try to reach out to LV? What should we do? I know they're not going to give us an answer, but it would be interesting.
Exactly.
Maybe we could go to their headquarters. We could be like, we went to the LV head and got no answers and got kicked out by security. But, hey, if they're going to send a private investigator to a random guy's house in the middle of nowhere, then why can't customers go and try to get answers from the headquarters? I don't know. But who knows? Well, I'm so glad we came together and we're able to talk about what's going on, because I do think this is a really important issue, not just for people who like to talk about handbags or the luxury community, but also for content creators, because this could have wider implications. So I think this is super interesting. Well. Yeah, for viewers, just so you know what's going on, and why some of us might not be able to do Louis Vuitton videos, I guess. I don't know.
And why you might have watched a video a month ago and you're like, I swear I watched it and I thought this person did it, but I can't find it. That's why.
That's why.
So before we go, I want to ask both of you, just in light of what's happened with your videos being removed, are you going to change the way you make content, or what? How are you going to conduct your channels moving forward?
So I recently released a video about this, and I think I have mixed feelings on it. I will more so focus on bags that I have in my collection that I think I'm just really loving at the time. I think right now is a tough time to ask, because I think I'm a little bit hurt by the brand a little bit. I'm trying not to take it personally, but I'm almost like, I even have a Louis Vuitton bag right now that I've been waiting to review. And I'm almost like, I love this bag so much, but I'm a little bit apprehensive to post another review for them. For some reason, it's just almost this kind of nervousness of if I put myself out there again and then it gets removed, I'm going to be discouraged. So I think that I will be a little bit more conscientious again about the brands that I am talking about. I am going to be not hashtagging anything with brands anymore for sure. There will be none of that on YouTube. And I'm just a little bit hesitant to talk about some of the luxury brands right now, even what you were saying about the other scandals and the stories going on. I feel like my excitement for luxury is a little bit like muted a bit, is kind of how I would say. I love bags. Like, I don't discriminate. I love every brand. I have so many different bags and I'm so grateful for that. So I will continue doing handbag reviews. I'm not going to let this like dull the moment, but I am just going to be a little bit more tailored as to how I'm saying or doing things and see if that helps and just kind of make me feel a little bit more at ease that a video might not be taken down. And I am going to probably do videos that are encompassing multiple bags rather than one bag. For some reason in my head, I don't know if that will help. If I am talking about Louis Vuitton, I'm going to try to just change things up and experiment the best that I can, but I'm not going to stop doing what I love doing just because of this. I'm going to keep going. I actually had a subscriber say, you should just repost a new video of a review of that bag because there's no way they're going to be able to take that one down too. And I'm like, well, we'll see. So those are my overall thoughts at the moment, but I'm sure that could change. I love luxury and I love contemporary brands. It's just, I'm a little apprehensive at this moment in time.
I think that's pretty understandable, though, I think, you know. Although I guess one good thing, it seems like neither of you got any strikes on the channel, I believe. So,
No.
so it was taken down, but neither of you have. I think they mostly issue those. I think you can get them like if you have a constant problem with copyright stuff or if you break like a community guideline or something. But it looks like they just took down the video, but they didn't issue either of you a strike. So that, yeah. I don't know what that means, but that's pretty interesting too. Also, over under on this video getting hit by Louis Vuitton. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm so bad at this.
So we'll have to see. And I'm surprised they didn't hit. I've done a few videos kind of criticizing the brand for all the social media stuff. And those are still up. So I don't know. I'm sure they probably don't like that kind of content, but I'm kind of surprised they haven't tried to mess with that. So, well, Lula, what do you think? On your channel, are you going to be doing things the same? Or are you going to be maybe rethinking things?
Yeah, I'm definitely being a little more cautious, trying to think of things a little bit more, critically and more objectively. Right now, I'm still a little bit hopeful because I have not had a response to my appeal yet. Unfortunately, I have no idea how long that will take, but I think right now I'm still pretty hopeful. If this happens again, I will then seriously consider, making more drastic changes to what I'm doing.
I think that those both sound like really reasonable approaches, but man, this is a crazy time for social media. If you're posting anything about certain brands, and I'm really glad we had this discussion. I hope this helps people, maybe helps inform others, warns people, and we'll see if this video stays up on our channels. So thanks to you both. If you're watching this, let us know what you think down below in the comments. Is this ridiculous? What do you think? Do you have any thoughts? Have you been affected? And make sure to follow Lula West Lux and Alyssa with the Gals Guide on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere.
Thank you so much, Jen, for hosting. This was so fun. I really appreciated the time and the space here today.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye.